Hi, HarperCollins. Thank you so much for this opportunity to connect with entrepreneurs and investors. We are addressing the early stage ecosystem, and we are addressing the topic how to tide over these tough times. Happy to share my views and grateful for this opportunity. But before we commence, today is an important day. It is New Year as per our solar calendar. So, happy Vishu. Wish you a very happy New Year. The significance of Vishu is that the sun rises exactly at the equator. This calls for our equanimity. Today is unique for another reason. Our Honorable Prime Minister has extended the lockdown. He has released a sequel, Lockdown 2. This can have several ramifications, and we have no reason to believe that Lockdown 3 or 4 or more aren't coming. Well, the crisis is unfolding on a daily basis, with new information adding more wrinkles to the story. We are indeed living in interesting times. What an irony that, quote unquote, may you live in interesting times is originally euphemistic Chinese curse. Yes, these are tough times. If you are an entrepreneur, it's even tougher. How you adapt, how you convert this adversity into an opportunity will decide your future. These few weeks will determine the next few years of your venture. These few weeks can even determine the next few decades of your life. These are tough times, and tough times tend to separate the wheat from the chaff. Bad companies are destroyed by crisis. Good companies survive the crisis, and great companies improve in crisis. For entrepreneurs, how you play out these tough times will determine a lot about your future. If you're an investor, the challenge is little less tougher because you're more diversified. Your success depends not just on one venture, but a portfolio of them. How you engage with your companies, how you help them come out stronger will determine your success. Your success is also about how you evaluate and seize opportunities presented by this situation. How you invest. Here we presume that you have sufficient corpus and the risk appetite to seize these opportunities. So, how you double down on your existing ones, how you let go some of them, or how you even shape an unlikely exit in these times will determine your investment success. So we will address two categories. One is the entrepreneurs and the other is the investors. And investors in private domain, especially early stage investors. But before anything else, let us not forget that what we are facing is a health crisis. It's not an economic crisis by definition. This health crisis has multiple fallouts, of which economic and social fallouts are very prominent and they affect us more. Well, we are capable of handling the economic situation. Central governments, state governments, our central bank are taking and can take adequate measures. If required, the leading economies, the World Bank, the IMF, they all can come together to address the situation. So that's not the biggest of our worries. It is the health crisis that has stumped us. And we have no reasonable solution for this. Corona, the most primitive form of life, a virus, has held the most advanced life forms, humans, at ransom. Well, what are the possible outcomes? Let me talk about the following. One, we can go on the offensive, and we are. Find an antidote to annihilate the virus. This takes time. The last we heard that about 70 vaccines are in the pipeline. 3 are being tested on human beings. We need another 12 to 18 months at least to get our potent weapon, say our Brahmastra. And this is assuming that the virus does not change its form. The second option is we continue to go on the defensive and stay away from the virus. Well, this virus is unlikely to come to you unless you go to it. So we are in lockdown, and today we have lockdown 2. Tomorrow we might have another one. We never know. We will go through such phases of defending ourselves against the virus till the time we are able to comfortable to lead a normal life and face the virus. This is not at all going to be easy. Apart from these two, there's a third possibility: the herd immunity taking over. And we handle this with as much limited damage as possible while we wade through this. A very recent paper published in Science, one of the more prestigious journals, says that the novel coronavirus is difficult to contain. People tend to be asymptomatic. That is, they don't show any symptoms and yet be infected. These undetected carriers spread the virus, and as we have seen, we have been affected almost across the globe, and certainly in about 60 odd countries in a very short span of time. So in due course of time, the novel coronavirus becomes an endemic. It joins its family of other viruses that we are living with. We just hope that in this process, it doesn't take too heavy a toll. Any of these 3 outcomes are possible in times to come. Our challenge is the next 6 to 8 quarters. And these times can change our world, either temporarily or permanently. How do we address this? Let's look at our entrepreneur friends. I repeat, let's look at our entrepreneur friends. If your venture is in nascent stage, that is in early stage, you are going through baptism by fire. You are more likely to win if you survive these tough times. That's your silver lining. If, on the other hand, you are a growing company where your direction is more or less set, this is going to be really tough, because how you maneuver the unfolding situation, how you survive, how we change course will determine your future. How you shape your venture is going to shape your future. If, on the other hand, you are an established business, you have to figure out the adjustments that you need to make in the interim to survive and win over the situation. You may have a few hiccups, but the chances of your survival are reasonable. So there is some good news for you. Well, all said and done, this is about survival. Sar salamat to pagdi pachas. If you survive, you will emerge stronger. The game is about managing terminal risks and uncertainties. So, what do? First and foremost, don't forget that this is a health crisis. So do whatever it takes to help people survive these tough times. Focus on health and safety of yourself, your teams, your customers, other stakeholders, and their respective families. This should be the topmost priority. Second, focus on cash. Conserve cash. Cash is oxygen to your venture. Cash will enable you to survive. Cash will enable you to wade through these tough times. Well, it's not going to be easy. On revenues, you are sure to see deep cuts depending on how the macro situation unfolds. If there is lockdown 2, 3, and more, these cuts are likely to be more. Even when revenues are coming, your customers will be asking you for price cuts. They will be asking for payment delays. All of this will dent your cash position. And in contrast, your expenses will continue. Your suppliers may ask for advances. They may ask for more time to deliver. You may have initiated certain planned investments or capex. All of this will continue to consume cash unless you step back, decide, and act. So what you need to do is essentially step back, evaluate your potential revenue scenarios, and adjust your expenses accordingly. This exercise can show you how your cash position can unfold. So for instance, if it is likely that you have a cash reserve for a few months and one lockdown is going to be sufficient for all of us to get through, then you need to manage your expenses over this period to come out a little strongly. So, depending on your cash positions, you may have to cut or delay discretionary expenses. For instance, marketing, brand building, your planned investments, capexes, all of this can wait until clarity emerges. On the other hand, if you have a war chest, you're well funded, then you would like to seize opportunities that can help you build long-term advantage. You can acquire allied and competing ventures. You can acquire, talent. You can, invest to win customers, to build sustainable revenues. You can tap this situation to tweak your products to build long-term competitive advantage. So the first element is about looking at your cash positions and making investment decisions or deferring investment decisions or delaying them or canceling them. It's about your long-term advantage. Next, your regular expenses. There is no choice than to defer, delay, or make part payments. But in the process, you have to take care of your employees and their basic requirements. But at the same time, you have to explore deferring part of their compensation. Explore temporary compensation cuts. Try to see if you can convert your fixed costs to variable. What I mean by that is explore how you can include stock compensation. Make part of a salary cut subject to performance in future. Likewise, ask for grace periods from people who take rents, from people who take regular mandated expenses from you. Remember, you have to align others to ride this tough ride with you. For the delayed gratification at a later date. And if you do this, you have won half the battle. Remember, all your stakeholders will win only if you win. If you go belly up, they are also likely to lose. So it's your task to engage with them and align to ride this rough ride. Well, be prepared for new possibilities also. The new information is going to come, new stories are going to unfold. So evaluate different time frames for how your decisions are going to impact during these time frames. Look at, say, next 3 months, say the near term, the next 8 quarters or 6 to 8 quarters or so, the midterm. And at the same time, don't lose sight on the long term, the next 5 years and beyond. How does this stack up against your original vision? Prepare for the worst, but try and seize opportunities and ride on them. Don't rely on good information. Don't rely on hope. Hope should not be your strategy. Remember, it's all about evaluating and managing risks. This book has a chapter on risks. I repeat, the book Angel Investing, very recently published by HarperCollins and very timely given the situation that we are in, can offer you a lot of insight. The chapter on risk has experiences of investors and entrepreneurs. It can help you evaluate risks. It can help you how your customers' preferences may change, how your technology can disrupt, how competition can unfold, how you may fumble in execution, how regulatory changes can make or mar your venture, and so on. Not all changes are detrimental. Some can be beneficial too. For example, work from home. This has recently caught up. Now, if you are able to design your processes and protocols, you can gain a lot. In the short term, you can motivate your team and keep the morale high. In the long term, you can use this to optimize costs and remodel your business to benefit from such a social change. So much for the entrepreneurs. The focus is on cash, conserve cash, manage the immediate, medium, and long term with the ability to ride through with cash. If you're an investor, your risk is at two levels. One, specific to every venture that you own and the overall portfolio that you have. Again, the chapter on risk in the book Angel Investing can be particularly useful. Risk in private investing is not well documented. There is very little information. Not much of it is known or quantified. So, given this situation, there hasn't been much research. However, the book attempts to shine some light. We look at about 250 ventures through portfolios of about 30 odd investors. This aggregate data provides reasonable insights. The first, the average returns for investors over a period of 5 to 7 years are about 25%, which is good. But what is more interesting is that the top few companies return to compensate for the entire portfolio. So for instance, if you have 100 ventures, about 5 are category A companies. They deliver returns compensating for all your ventures. About 20 investments fail. Let's call them category F companies. The rest of them, the category B, C, and D, wade through with reasonable returns. And collectively, your portfolio can deliver upwards of 25% over a period of 5 to 7 years. So that's the emerging scenario. The real power of this information is that the power law is indeed powerful. The power law says that just a few companies, i.e., your category A companies, deliver most of the returns, while others languish with tepid returns or might even fail. Well, how would you identify your category A companies today? Today's tough situation gives you an opportunity and the time to get to the drawing board. So engage with your ventures, figure out, offer guidance, help, and in some cases, even capital. Should your potential category A companies require capital, double down, don't hesitate. At the same time, give a helping hand to your B, C, D, and F companies too. Help them come out with least damage. In this process, you may have to book certain losses, write off certain ventures. Be prepared. Evaluate risks from multiple perspectives. This book will help you do that. Well, in the interest of time, let me stop here and open up for questions. In the meantime, stay safe, maintain social distance, and light the lamp of hope. Remember, this too shall pass. बस अब वक्त की ही बात है इस मर्ज का हल ढूंढना. बस अब वक्त की ही बात है इस मर्ज का हल ढूंढना. आसमां को ज़मीं पर लाना और फलक में सुराख कराना. बस अब वक्त की ही बात है इस मर्ज का हल ढूंढना. आसमां को ज़मीं पर लाना, फलक में सुराख कराना. मुश्किल कुछ भी नहीं, मुश्किल कुछ भी नहीं, शिद्दत से कोशिश करेंगे हम. मुश्किल कुछ भी नहीं, शिद्दत से कोशिश करेंगे हम. हौसला ए चिराग रोशन करेंगे हम. हौसला ए चिराग रोशन करेंगे हम. थैंक यू.